Okay, let's look at reading 2, oxytocin, positive and negative effects of the chemical known as the love hormone. So from that you should just get that oxytocin is some kind of chemical. Let's see what we've got. Matching information, pretty difficult. I like to leave it to the end. Matching research findings to the people and a summary. So definitely go for the summary first because it's a bit easier sometimes, and sometimes this information can help you with that or with that. It's possible. Right, so look, let's see what we just need to see where they come from. 2005. Then what else have we got here? We've got 3 universities. So that should be enough for us to get a general idea of where this comes from. Right, so here they are. Here, this paragraph B, C, and D. However, this 2005 is right at the beginning here, and it's in the middle of this first paragraph. So that makes me think that these will probably come from A. Remember, with summaries, it's usually in order. Sometimes they do go back once, but not twice. So I'm going to start at A. Anyway, this is the earliest findings, so that's right at the beginning. Okay, next. Can the grammar help us? Research involving something. So it's not singular. It's the usual situation, plural or uncountable. It is discovered that humans produce oxytocin during something. During a... What can be during? Again, during something. Maybe a time period, but it's not singular. An experiment, participants were given either oxytocin or so please, that's very important over there. That tells us that we're looking for a singular noun. Here again, we've got so we're looking for a singular noun. This study showed people's lack of willingness to help. There's no, you help somebody or help something, so it will be a noun, but there's no there, so either plural or uncountable. Research at this revealed that people who have been given consider something that are. Please notice the are. I think a lot of students miss that. Remember, there are 2 key things, the verb and the article, when you're deciding on the grammar. That means that this must be plural. It can't be uncountable, because if it's uncountable, then that would be is, and if it's singular, then that would be is. So this must be plural. Okay, so the grammar does help us a little bit there. Right, and then I think it's time to get started. Just before I start, remember, when you're doing the summary, concentrate on what they're saying. Keep it in your mind that you might need to use this information later. Other gap fills, like when it's just a sentence completion or table, often we don't use that information later. But if you look at these question types, they are going to use these paragraphs later. We'll use these paragraphs again. So just keep that in your mind and try and remember what they're talking about here. The idea is that with 1 or 2 of these, we will be able to match something that's in here to something that's in one of these questions, and the summary will help us with the other questions. Right, let's get started. Earliest findings came from research involving something, plural or uncountable. Can you see earliest findings? Can you see research involving? So we're going to be somewhere over here because of the 2005 over there. Earliest, can you see earliest? And there is earliest over there. Scientists first became aware. So that's the earliest findings. There's research. So what do we want? Research involving something. So we know we're in this sentence here. Involving, can you see involving? Focusing on. Involving animals. Plural. Remember, we were looking for plural, huh? It was also discovered. I like also. Remember, also, you often find also in the question and in the text. Also discovered, or maybe a synonym for also, in addition, something like that. The second point, that humans produce oxytocin during. So, discovered humans produce during. Discovered humans produce during, and finally also. Discovered This is an animal. This is about sheep. We want humans. There's humans. Great. But there is the also. That's fantastic. So, produced, released, humans, women, also, during, in, and we want a plural or uncountable, I mean. Let's just check this attachment between mother and baby. These are countables. The during gives it to you. During and in are often synonyms. During 1999, in 1999, very, very similar. So there's your answer there. Please notice with these gap fill type exercises, you find a lot of the paraphrase. If you're looking at a sentence and you can't find the paraphrase, it's probably the wrong sentence. I mean, all of that information was there. The also was there, the produced was there, the humans was there, the during was there. It's all there. And that's usually the case. That's when you know you're in the right place. Right. In childbirth. And childbirth is an uncountable noun. In experiment, participants were given either, please notice, they were given either that or a something reinforced the belief that the hormone had a positive effect. Alright, so we want to find participants, and they were given the oxytocin, that'll be everywhere, or a. What were the participants given? There's participants, they could invest money, there's nothing about given. The team found that participants, there it is, participants who had sniffed oxytocin, there's a spray, invested more money than those who had received a placebo. Alright, so there's two types of participants here. These were given oxytocin and these were given a placebo. So there's only two singular nouns. We don't want that one because they were given the oxytocin. We want that one. They were given either oxytocin or a singular noun. Right. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I think the grammar helped us a little bit. Participants took part in a something, revealed negative emotions. So the participants, again, maybe something about negative emotions. They took part. That verb will probably be quite important. Volunteers, we're looking for a, so it could be this. Those who inhaled the emotion showed more pleasure and felt more envy. So there's our negative emotions, the envy. Envy is like jealousy. And so that's pretty straightforward. The grammar really helps us. Where in this sentence is a singular noun, and it's just there. We could read a little bit more just to check, but we also want to try and find took part. Can you see took part? And they played football, took part in football. It's the same thing. So pretty straightforward, that one. Took part in a game. Grammar helps us there. And this university showed a lack of willingness to help plural or countable while under the influence. So this is really lack of willingness and help. What was this university? Antwerp. You see, it's really not much. It's only going to be here. Lack of willingness became less cooperative to help. There's nothing really there about help. I think they mean deal with. Anyway, we're looking for plural or uncountable. Maybe that's uncountable and that's plural. But you help or you deal with, you don't deal with. Oxytocin. The people is there, so the answer is not going to be people. So of course it's that they're our plural noun. This summary is really not too bad. I was worried because they took it over many paragraphs. They took it over about 80% of the whole text, but it's turning out to be not so bad. The grammar's helping us. University of Amsterdam, people who have been given consider something that are familiar to them in their own country. Please notice this is a whole big noun phrase, and we want a plural, something that ends in S, to have more positive associations than those from other cultures. Something that are familiar to them in their own country. More positive connotations. Volunteers given showed favoritism. Remember, we're looking for something that ends in S. Dutch men associate positive words with Dutch names than with foreign ones, for example. So this is not describing the experiment. So we're only over here, and we're looking for something that ends in S. So it's either this or that or that. Dutch men became quicker to associate positive words with Dutch names. Positive associations. So this is either, it's not going to be ones, so it's either words or names. Words that are familiar to them in their own country, or names that are familiar to them in their own country. And it's a little bit difficult. There's nothing about country, Dutch men, and Dutch names. So the names are familiar, the Dutch names are familiar to the Dutch men. So you had to choose names there. I think some students might choose words, but the words aren't familiar to the Dutch men. The Dutch names are familiar to the Dutch men. So you had to go with names there. The grammar helped us. It was words or names, so I think most students will choose names. Okay, great. Really, that wasn't so bad at all. And then just try and remember this information. We'll come back and read this again later. It might help us with the other question types. Right, let's move on to this 18 to 20, the matching exercises, the matching questions. So, of course, the first thing you're going to do is go and scan for these names. That's fine. Go and do it. And I've already done it. I've made them green. And you'll see that it's actually makes it a little bit tricky because these names are kind of everywhere. I mean, Bart's is down here again as well, and she. So immediately I don't feel so good. But now this is very important. Pay attention to this, please. With this kind of question type, you must really look at this and pay special attention to what you are looking for. Very often this is statements. Okay, then you know you're looking for something that these people said. But this is not statements. This is research findings. And that can help you to narrow down the information that you are looking at. So please don't just sort of gloss over this, read it quickly. Really look, what am I looking for? We're looking for the research findings. So let's start with Marcus Heinrichs now. We only want to find his research findings. We don't want to look at anything else. Of course, you must check, I've said in other videos, check that it's the first time that they mention him by introducing him. This is all about the description of the activity, of the experiment, and here is what you are looking for. The team found that. Here are his findings. This over here. Then they go on, this describing the study. This is not the findings. And then blah, 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 blah. This is not the findings. These follow-up studies have shown that, but we're not looking at the follow-up studies. We're looking at his studies. This is everyone. These studies are by other people, so we're not looking at that. We're only looking at that. So by looking at this, you can narrow down where the answer might be. You're not looking for their statements. Okay, so I just want to quickly say something about experiments in IELTS. Often they describe an experiment, and most of the time you can divide the experiment into the description of the experiment and the results of the experiment. So there's the description, and then there's the results. And very often you will see from the question, must you look at the description of the experiment, what happened in the experiment, what did they do, or must you look at the results of the experiment? So keep that distinction in your mind. It will help you to ignore information that you don't need to look at. Right, so now we know we're only looking for research findings. Where are her research findings? All right, found that. That's what we want. So these are all her findings. It looks like it's all of that, I would say. Jennifer Bart's, Carolyn de Klerk, she also found that. So these will be findings, and then her research also shows that. So it could be there as well. Studies conducted by her revealed that. Okay, so we're looking at that sentence over there. Carsten de Drew discovered that. So they're using the same language. And This is according to him. So this is not his findings. Appears that. That's not a finding. This is just appears that. So we're just looking at this sentence for him. Barthes has shown that. Could be there. And then this is all just what she's saying, not what her studies found, research findings. So nothing. And Sue Carter, she's just saying stuff again. It doesn't say anything about what she's found. So this helps you actually to not look at all of this. We're looking up to there. We're looking at just a few sentences now. All right, so let's see if we can find this. It's just that sentence. Participants who sniffed oxytocin beforehand invested more money than those who received the placebo. People are more trusting when affected by oxytocin. Maybe. Invested more money, are more trusting. Maybe. Oxytocin increases people's feelings of jealousy. I don't see it. And the effect of oxytocin varies from one type to another. Don't see it. But now I don't know if you can do this. Don't worry if you can't. But I remember I saw jealousy before. Remember in the summary, they spoke about negative emotions over there. And then when I looked for those negative emotions, I saw the word envy. It was over there. And envy means jealousy. So I don't know if you could do that, but it's just a very good example of how very often some information in the summary can help you with other question types. So if I was doing this test, I would immediately go and do this one because I remembered seeing envy. It was important then that I went and found, when I was doing the summary, find the negative emotions, find all of the parts of the summary, because IELTS is using that as important information. So then I would go and do this one. But let's pretend I didn't see that and just continue. Oxytocin increases people's feelings of jealousy. We're going to go and look at these then. We're looking for all three, not only the jealousy. When they played a game, they inhaled the hormone, showed more pleasure when they beat others, and felt more envy when others won. So we go through our three. More trusting, no, but increases people's feelings of jealousy. So we would have found that one anyway on the next person. So that one is then B. You could have found it from this, but as it turned out, it was the next person that we looked at anyway. It was this person over here. Right. Jennifer Barthes found this is oxytocin. It improves ability to read emotions, not socially adept. Also shows that it in fact reduces cooperation in subjects who are anxious or sensitive to rejection. People more trusting, improves ability to read emotions. Not really, no. And varies from one type of person to another. Improves their ability, but only if they're not socially adept. Reduces cooperation in sensitive people. So it's possible it could be that it has this effect on some people and this effect on other people. Anyway, skip it. People who had received this became less cooperative dealing with strangers. So this is negative. This is more trusting. So no. Varies from one type of person to another. No, they're only talking about one type of person here. Showed favoritism, quickly to associate positive words with Dutch names. I don't see anything about favoritism. This is about words and names, so nothing there. And this is not what we're looking for. This is not research findings. Half the existing results only in certain circumstances. So that rings a bell. Only influence certain individuals or in certain circumstances. And that varies from one type of person to another. So that's Barthes. I'm quite happy about that. And then that's it. I can't see any more research findings. These three, we looked at them over here, or two of them at least, and I don't see any of that there. And then Sue Carter, it's not about research findings. It's just what she says. So those three are just there to slow you down. It's time to have a guess. More trusting when affected by oxytocin. And I don't really like this answer. Actually, it means that they invested more money than those who had received the placebo. An activity in which they could invest money with someone who was not guaranteed to be honest. Okay, so it's basically saying, did they trust that person and invest money with them? Very difficult paraphrase, that one. I think that's kind of a band 8, band 9 question. But yeah, I'll go with him. So the answers were just A, B, C. They put the most difficult one at the beginning. This one, you could have gotten it from the summary. And this one was right at the end. Remember, they mentioned Bart's before, but then remember Bart's again. The key to this whole thing was that you were looking for research findings and not at what they said. Great. Now, it's time to do the most difficult part of this test. It's not a bad idea to quickly go and read this again, or maybe you can remember it. It could help us a little bit. Be careful. They often use a difficult one at the beginning, but let's check. Reference to research showing the beneficial effects of oxytocin on people. Beneficial effects. Can you remember anything about beneficial effects? Actually, I remember this from the summary. The hormone oxytocin had a positive effect. So that's in there. Another thing you might want to notice is that this whole thing is about positive and negative effects. They kind of start off with all positive effects. Then they have a big sort of, however, contrasting findings. And then they start negative effects. But anyway, according to our summary, they're talking about positive effects in paragraph B, where they had the 2005. So let's just see if we can go and find those. And here they start better at this, communicating constructively, enhance the positive aspects of our social nature. So this is all of those positive effects. So I would be comfortable enough to go for B there. Remember, these are very difficult. So don't worry about just guessing a little bit. Reasons why the effects are complex. I can't remember anything. A period in which they attracted little scientific attention. No. And people ignoring certain aspects of the research data. No, I can't remember anything from any of that. So now you need to check your time, really, and decide, are you going to guess, or do you have enough time to start scanning for some paraphrases and things? One thing to remember is which paragraphs have we used, which paragraphs haven't we used. We used E up to there, and we haven't used F. So if you're going to scan, it's a good idea to start scanning here, because IELTS generally likes to use all of the paragraphs. So what you should do then is read these again. Reasons why the effects are complex. Maybe highlight some keywords. A period. A period is a period of time. That might help us. Little scientific attention. Ignoring research data. That one's difficult. Right. Look at those and then start scanning. Start over here, do E and F, and then you've got no choice but to go back to the beginning. So if you scan through this, actually turns up pretty quickly. Took no notice of such findings. Took no notice of means ignoring research data is findings. So because we started at paragraph E, we could have found that one fairly quickly. A period and reasons why the effects are complex. So continue. I don't see anything about reasons, and I don't see anything about a period. Perplexing makes me interested because perplexing is like confusing, and that maybe means it's connected to complex. And as it turns out, yes, they talk a lot about complexity. It's going to have many effects on just about everything. Different ways depending on individual differences. So they don't actually say anything about complex. They don't say anything about reasons why. But the whole paragraph, this is a very difficult question. The whole paragraph is explaining that it's actually very complex and complicated. She's saying it might have some basic things, but it's also very complicated. So the answer to that was F, but really if you couldn't find it, then just guess. Put F somewhere, because they're probably going to use F, and then if you can find this little scientific attention, you'd kind of have to go all the way back to the beginning. When did it attract little attention? And there's our period. 8 years, it was a lonesome field, it was a lonely field, now everyone is interested. So, I don't know if you could find that really, it was really tough to find, it really depends on scanning ability. So that one was B as well. Now, how many should you have gotten there? I think if you got 2 out of 4 there, you're doing well. It was a very tough question type. We could have gotten that one. We could have gotten that one if we started at the right place. And then if you just put F and F, that would have been fine. You could have gotten 3. But for this reading, you could have picked up quite a few marks over here, a couple over there. Not too bad. Okay, let's see, reading 3.